So as a result, she doesn't get the boat ready for them. So she's not pulling all the covers off. She's not doing everything she's supposed to be doing. Gary puts this back on interior, saying, my crew is already, or my team is already a man down, and now we're doing your work, so we can't get our work done. Department head Daisy and department head Gary get into it a little bit. Sean, what were your thoughts on this?
I think Kelsey might have actually messed up. I think most interesting thing she's done all season, but right. I mean, yeah, like what was the primary's name again? I'm
Jim?
sorry. It was Jim. Yeah. So Jim's the first one up, right?
Yep.
And he's sitting like in the captain's seat because there's none of the deck stuff's ready.
Yep.
And Daisy has a great point. And I know I'm pro Daisy, but how long does it take to make one coffee?
You're not wrong. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that wasn't the difference between all the deck being ready or not. I don't think it was just that. Now, question for Kelsey though, if she's watching the anchor, and we saw what happened to the last guy that didn't watch the anchor, how is she supposed to also set up the deck chairs too?
I feel like anchor is more like a middle of the night thing where like dawn is typically calm. Right. So like once like the sun starts coming up, it gets like, the day calms a little bit. So I think you're kind of out of the woods as far as like anchor watch from that standpoint.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So she should have, as soon as like it was clear the anchor wasn't going to move, and like
that's when you start pulling stuff, right?
Yeah,
like once like sure it's humid there, so like you want to get like you don't want to get the covers off before like where like dew's gonna then set on the seats. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how long it takes to get those off. Probably 20 30 minutes to get them off the entire boat, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe she was strapped for time, or maybe she just got carried away with making coffees. Now, I will tell you this, Sean, I can make a coffee. If someone says make a latte, I'll just be like, I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. And I guess if you're Kelsey, you don't know where a lot of stuff is. It's probably more than
takes
3
longer.
minutes.
Yeah.
Let's call it 15. But
yeah.
So here's the thing though. Earlier in the episode, Gary, I think Colin's asking Gary, like, all right, who are you going to hook up with like next night off? Like Ashley or Gabby. And he's like, oh no, I'm going after Daisy. Now he's kind of ruining it right now.
Yeah.
Because I think like they're kind of fighting a little hard. I don't know that he's just trying to nag her. I think it's like he's actually upset. And I don't think that's how you get to Daisy's heart. So I'm guessing there's not going to be a hookup between Gary and Daisy next night out. I guess things can change.
It's one of those things. It's like they get so heated on each other, things happen.
Now, Gary. Gary probably had a point that a stew should have been up as soon as the guests are up. But
it wasn't like. Is it also on like? I think Gabby had a good point. So Gabby's the first one supposed to get up, but they don't know exactly when a guest is going to get up. So I think, what was it? Gabby was to be on the floor by 7, or was it 6 or 7 or whatever it was?
Probably 6.
Okay. So whatever it was, it's like, if Kelsey, like, let's say like her main duty of anchor watch is done, but she sees guests up, it probably is in the best interest of the boat to like go wake up Gabby. Yeah. Right. Be like, hey, guests are up. You know what I mean? And I think Gabby even said that. Gabby's like, what? They've been up for an hour. Why didn't you wake me? So I think that is a communication that should start to happen. These guys are still only on their 4th charter,
Yeah.
So there's still going to be some, and this is the first time Kelsey's on anchor watch. So now she knows, hey, if guests are up early, wake up a stew, right? Yeah. To make coffee, things like that.
Anchor watch is tough. You're just giving everyone bad news. Like, hey,
yep.
I'm waking you up. I would hate that job.
Yeah.
Man.
So Sean, I got a couple, I don't know how we didn't talk about her yet, but, Ashley had a pretty famous post this week on Twitter, basically saying like, and essentially saying to all like the haters out there, like you're hating on me because you hate your life. And I wasn't exactly a big fan of that because let's just put it this way. I don't think Ashley's ever thought anything negative about herself. And so all of a sudden she's having everybody chirp on her. I know we have in previous episodes, and I certainly do on Twitter, because I think she can be manipulative and care about herself. But we haven't really talked a lot about Ashley today. So,
No.
Sean, she had some quotes that I thought were worth mentioning. So I don't know if these are alphabetical, or I don't know if these are in order of what she said them, but she basically was complaining about Gabby and being like, I don't know what the situation is between her and Gary, but she said I could have effed Gary already if I wanted to. I'm gonna call some BS there. Yeah, because could you have? Because you were shut down multiple every time, right? What am I missing here? Like, what fantasy land is she living in?
Did she think Tom was in her? I thought she thought Tom was in her way too. Which he wasn't. She chose Gary because, or she chose Tom because Gary was unavailable. And Daisy was in her way one night. That's real. Gary's not that into her. He thinks she's clingy, or he knows she'll be clingy. So I don't know.
And here's the actual. Let me pull it up here. She said to all the troll. This is Ashley's tweet. To all the trolls and keyboard warriors who hurt you? Question. Just because you're miserable and hate your life doesn't make it cool to spread your nastiness to others. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of people in life that are just like negative online and negative towards individuals and hiding behind their keyboards and things like that. But I feel like at the same time, Ashley thinks she's perfect. She's not. She's very flawed in what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I also just I'm predicting her, like, after the season saying she got a villain edit. I know that was the thing in The Bachelor.
She is the villain of the series. Yeah, she is the villain because she's the villain.
She's gonna say she got a villain edit. Yeah, no, she needs like a social media manager or something. Just come up with funny jokes.
Yeah,
there's a million comedy writers that would do it for
her. Yeah. And let's see. So she also had this one. She also said she doesn't get jealous, which that's a lie. She gets very jealous. She's been jealous of Gabby when Gabby's been able to, hook up with Gary or have a normal conversation with Gary. I feel like Ashley and Gary don't really have normal conversations. It's just Ashley being like, "Do you want to make out now?"
Can we go to a guest cabin? Yeah,
okay, cool. Yeah.
No Ashley tonight, or barely any Ashley tonight.
Yeah. She also said that she doesn't lose, which, like, when she's talking about like how she wants Gary and maybe Gabby wants Gary or whatever it is, Ashley said she doesn't lose. But I feel like that is like an Eric Cartman approach. Like, anytime she does lose, she just says she wasn't playing anyway.
It's
tough. It's a tough look, man.
We'll see. I'm very excited for the next night out. I mean, I feel like Gary and Gabby though might continue to happen. I'm predicting Gary and Daisy take a break for like at least one night out because of the fight they had. But I think Gary and Gabby is a thing. I don't. Who's his new deckhand though? That's
going to throw a whole wrinkle into everything, right?
Yeah.
And then Sean, the last quote was when she was talking about sleep, like wanting to sleep with Gary. Ashley says, "If I apply enough pressure, I'll get what I want." Yikes! I just got like yikes. It's all like. Let's not even think about like if roles are reversed there. But it's not a good look on Ashley. I think if she claims that she got a villain edit, like, I don't think there was any other edit she could have gotten. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Also, like, Gary's not that smart. So if she's not even that good at being manipulative.
Yeah.
She's just Ashley. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I think Sydney was actually like better at manipulating Gary than Ashley was.
Yeah.
Because Ashley just, yeah, you're right. It's like all surface level. Like, do you want to go to a guest cabin? He's like, no. And that's really it. She kind of gives up. So I can't wait for the next night out, though.
Yeah.
So many possibilities.
All right, yeah. All right, Sean, let's get into who won and who lost the episode. So who'd you have?
I had Glenn winning. So John, I think it's important for cast members of this show to have consequences. Like, we all love the party and the drama, but it can't just become like Bachelor in Paradise on a yacht. And so by firing Tom, Glenn's establishing like, hey, if you're on the show, you have to be like a real yachty.
Yep.
You have to do your job. This is ultimately a show about people working. And to me, Glenn confirmed that. And now that I finally understand the joke that he told at the talent show,
you
I'm
do
like,
now. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give it to Glenn. Who'd you have winning, John?
I had Kelsey winning. So she goes from like no screen time to some screen time. And now she's de facto lead deckhand, even if nobody else will admit that. And who knows, maybe she becomes part of the crew now. So let's see what happens, right?
She kind of messed up setting up the deck at the very end of the episode.
It's fine.
The bar was so low for her as far as screen time. Yeah, that's a good point.
So who'd you have losing?
I mean, bittersweetly, Tom, as we kind of said at the top, like as a viewer, I'll miss him. But if you get fired, you lost. And like, the guy was probably leading the season in screen time. Right. If you count up all the episodes, I mean, from night one, when he got really drunk and puked, and then everything with the anchor watch and everything with Ashley. Yeah. I mean, he was kind of the star of the show. But I don't know, like every deck party, the guy was a mess. Except for the one time he hooked up with Ashley.
Yeah. I do kind of get sick of like, when people drink, they just like become like a different person. And I know really like they can't help it. Some people can't help it, but at the same time, if that's what you become, then like, don't drink that heavily. But yeah, he lost for me too. Cause you're right. If you get kicked off the show, you lose. So
yeah, that's
it's
there's a rebuttable presumption that you lost the episode unless you just
yeah. All right, Sean. So I want to get into our next round of March Madness. So as everybody knows, in the spirits of March Madness, what the team at the Overboard Podcast Network has put together was Below Deck edition of March Madness to determine the best season of all time. So, Sean, we've set up on our Twitter page at overboard_pod, the Twitter polls you can go to and vote for your favorite seasons. They're all head-to-head matchups, and you can go over to checkingpoints.com to see the bracket. So we're going to have an updated bracket. So, Sean, we just had our round of 8 this last week. We're going to be going into the final 4 this upcoming week. So if you're listening to this podcast and the next episode hasn't aired yet, go over to overboard_pod and vote on the latest, on the final 4. So, Sean, let me open it up. We've got the Elite 8. So I just want your opinions on what happened. So, Sailing Yacht season 2 beat Med season 3.
Oh,
did you see that coming?
Destroyed them. 95% of the vote. Yes. Wow. Sailing Yacht season 2 Hive. It's pretty powerful. I expected that too. Med season 3 isn't that memorable. I mean, it has some like very likable cast members, but Sailing Yacht season 2, that didn't shock me. No.
Yeah. We also, and then on the same side, we had Med season 2 lost to Med season 4, which I think Med season 4 is probably the best Med season, right?
So I like Med season 2 more because so much happens.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's not typical for the average viewer. Because I think people hate Molly and Adam. So any season that they were on, they're like, no. Med season 4, the overall cast is way likable. There's more drama in Med season 2, and I was fighting hard for it, but not shocked that Med season 4 won, especially with like the Jack, Travis, Aisha like trio, and then like Colin and Hannah, and then Ben at the end. Very likable crew.
Yeah.